This is Broke Money Hustle. And now, here's Broke Money Hustle with Trico and Eric.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Broke Money Hustle, the podcast for people who are trying to grow their wealth with the pocket change that they have or the stuff they found under the couch cushions. My name is Eric, and I am joined by my co-host, Trico. Trico, how'd the market treat you today?
It was awesome. It was boring, but in a good way, kind of boring. Like everything was in the green, and I'm like, all right, what can I buy? But everything is up, so I'm like, well, I don't want to buy nothing because everything's up right now. So it was a good day, but as far as buying stuff, it was kind of boring. I couldn't find a good deal.
Yeah, no, it's same for me. I've just kind of been holding on to everything that I've got. Did add to my silver stacking over the weekend. I actually got my mom involved. We went to a little coin and stamp shop near my house, and she bought some of her first physical silver coins. She was really excited. My dad's really big into like the shtick of Santa Claus and Christmas and stuff, and so they had some silver rounds that had like Christmas puppies and a snowman and a nutcracker on a little 1 ounce bar. So she was thrilled to get those, and they gave us a great price, $5 over spot. So we paid nice. $32 at the time for 1 ounce silver round coins. So that was a good get.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my wife always makes fun of me because she thinks it's just an investment, but there's something kind of addictive to it. Like I love looking at my silver coins and just I don't know, like the color of it and everything. It's a shiny, once you graduate from comic books and action figures, and it's like precious metals, I'll just collect them all, like exactly.
It's kind of like dividend stocks. It's like a Pokemon, Pokemon for adults or dividend stocks and coins.
Exactly.
But you know what? I know your affinity for history, so you might want to check it out. It's on Mack Avenue. Mm-hmm. But they have a lot of older coins there, some historical stuff. So it might be something in there you kind of like.
Cool. Yeah, it's near the house too, so I'll have to swing by there.
Yeah, cool. So my portfolios were doing really well again, but unfortunately Square took a little bit of a hit. It's down $20 a share from its all-time high. So it's kind of sad to see that. But on the upside, Nikola doing really well. Wish I'd have bought more stocks at $30 a share. Now it's up to $44. And of course, I'm always lurking around Apple because I don't have a position in Apple. And I'm like, maybe there'll be a nice dip before the split and I can get in cheap. But definitely, and I put this question out on our Twitter @BrokeMoney, what you guys thought of waiting till after the split or before the split to buy into Apple. And the answers I got back so far was to buy before, because you're going to get the momentum on the back end of the split where a lot of more retail investors are going to come in and see that lower price point and gobble it up, and that'll drive the price up. So
that's true.
I think that's a wise course of action.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Like if they did the split now, it'd be like around $112 a share, $112.50 a share.
Yeah.
And but then, like you said, everyone's going to jump on it because they'll be like, "Oh, I can own a share for like $112." So probably the day it does the split, it's probably going to jump up to like $130 a share. No,
I missed out on a big IPO, Big Commerce. Because I really, I was a little bit confused by the Webull interface because I had signed up for I tried to get alerts on this when it went live for the IPO, because an IPO did like $28 a share, but the app wasn't letting me buy it for some reason, and there a lot of people were saying, "Hey, why won't the app let me buy this?" And so I didn't look at it. I was like, well, these IPO things, they'll peak and then kind of drop back down. And the last time I checked it, it was still like $100 a share now. So because it's big commerce, it's like the biggest competitor to Shopify, and Shopify is a huge, what is it, like $230 a share or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's another big ticket e-commerce stock. So yeah, that was kind of like my little ins and outs of the weekend and Fridays and all that. But anyway, we have an exciting guest that we're going to bring on here in just a quick second. His name is Jesse. He is the founder of hiredvirtual.com, and we're going to ask him a little bit about his experience as an entrepreneur. He's into some other things like email marketing and and spent a lot of time, I guess, just getting his mind right to shape the way he thinks and to be more of an entrepreneur and more of an investor. And he's into Robinhood too, so we'll talk some stocks with him after he tells us what's going on.
Sweet.
Jesse, glad to have you. Thank you for being on the program. How's it going? Are you there?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
Yeah, there you are.
You guys for a second, right during the intro. Awesome. So yeah, thank you for the intro. This is my first podcast ever, but I'm excited to do it. So I mean, I've since I was younger, I always wanted to be work for myself. I've had plenty of jobs where I worked for other people and definitely learned valuable things, but my mentality is I'm only on this planet once. So,
right.
Why work to get someone else, to make someone else rich when I can do that for myself? So, I grew up in New York, Long Island, actually. Went to Indiana University, went to the business school there. Did well all throughout college. Definitely had my share of partying. After school, instead of trying to get a really top finance job, I was more interested in my social life at the time. So I did get a job for a large staffing company in New York City.
Did we lose you? I think we lost you. We're not hearing anything. Oh, I wonder if we lost a connection there. Those types of things can definitely happen, especially when we're trying to talk across vast state lines and stuff. And hopefully we'll get him back here soon. Anyway, so yeah, there's it was interesting the way he was mentioning in there early on. There is he didn't quite know what he was going to do. Got through college and was just kind of working for other people. Got himself a job there, and I wonder how prevalent that mindset is. Is like we're in an era now where and I've said this before in the program, where we're in a doer's economy. And it's important to know that if you're going to work for yourself, you kind of need to get it started as early as possible. It sounds like he's got a pretty good early start because I'm sure he's younger than us. But I know for the longest time the mindset was you get a job, you work that job forever, you save some money, you buy a house, have kids, die. That was I guess that was the American dream, because that's not really taught to be an entrepreneur. And it looks like we got him back.
Sorry about that, guys. It keeps on, for some reason, I got good Wi-Fi here, but I'm not really sure. So let me continue where I left off.
Yes, please do.
Perfect. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again. So I went to work for a staffing company and pretty quickly realized that, first off, a lot of people who own staffing companies, they're some of the wealthiest people that you'll meet. But at the same time, I just think there's so much competition in the industry, and I just think it's very archaic and outdated. If you don't really know how staffing industries work, basically they help companies find talent and they charge them, rates upward of 20% of the first year salary of each, person that gets a job. So it's expensive. If a company hires a software engineer for $100,000, it costs each company, around $25,000. So I kind of saw an opening for a market. I wanted to figure out a way how to help companies hire, more efficiently and effectively. So I actually went into business with a partner, and we started organizing these career fairs around the country. So the way it works is we would do career fairs, specifically for technology, since that was the hot industry. So each event we would have around 50 companies come to the event. They let us know what positions they're hiring for. We discovered a few resources, and tools, and we also worked with recruiters in each city to bring in these candidates. So the companies loved it because rather than paying, thousands of dollars for, to hire someone, for $5.99 or $6.99, they were able to, be alongside the other top brands in their city, and then hopefully hire, multiple people. So that business, took off pretty quickly. I was doing that for like 4 or 5 years, probably averaging around 30 events per year, like 50 companies each event. A lot of it's marketing. So, social media. I would say the number one way that we attracted companies to our service was email marketing. So we were, sourcing emails, putting them into our constant contact. We were messaging people on LinkedIn. We were basically, using whatever tools we could. And then eventually, the companies loved coming to our events. So we had a lot of, when we would do a city the next year, we already had a lot of past clients. So, I was definitely happy I took the risk and started my own business. And then, so I was doing that for 5-6 years. And then, the coronavirus happened. And obviously, for my business, that's just like huge. So we weren't able to do any in-person events, obviously. So we had to make a quick pivot, which is where Hired Virtual comes in. So we basically developed our own software that allows candidates to select 10-minute time slots with each company. And basically, they click whatever company they're interested in, and they could just select a time slot, and it's fully integrated with Zoom. So, it's automated. That took some time. So I guess what I want to say is, when this first happened, I was immediately stressed. I thought the business was done. But, during this time period, I've really been working on my mindset and just, how I could be most efficient and how I could feel the best. And I'll basically tell you guys, some things that really helped me, and that kind of, gave me the faith to switch over to Hired Virtual. And, we've done 7 events already in the last 2 months. We're pretty busy. We have an event Wednesday in Boston with some of the, top companies in Boston coming to the event. And then also I have a little side gig with affiliate marketing, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But yeah, so once this, when this all started, I was kind of going, under like a personal enlightenment, I would say. So, I have a really strong morning routine. Like I wake up every morning, I do a 10-minute meditation. I really like the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. So, basically every single day it's a new meditation. So, I do that. Before I check any emails or anything, I'll do that. I'll make a gratitude list, and I'll either go for a walk or do some push-ups. For me, it's very easy for me to get inside my head. So it's good for me to like get into my body. And it's, it's crazy how little things like that could just really help your mindset. So, I was doing this every day. I was staying really organized with like to-do lists. But at the same time, with to-do lists, you got to be careful, because sometimes I would waste my time on things that weren't really bringing home the money. So
Sure.
From 9 to 5, I think it's really important to focus on the one thing that's going to, get you business and make you money. And for us, that's sales. It's very easy to, want to, add a story to your Instagram or do stuff like that, and that stuff's all good. But at the same time, you got to just, manage your time effectively. So, I mean, here's the website that we have in front of us, hiredvirtual.com. So it's pretty straightforward business. There's a lot of relationships we've built over the years with recruiters in each city. And, when you talk to companies, everybody's using LinkedIn to find candidates. So we had to kind of go outside the box and think, how can we attract these candidates they haven't interviewed with yet? So, we found some resources. We have some awesome recruiters in each city. And we try and, for these virtual events, we try and make sure that each company has 30 candidates, that they're meeting with on their schedule. So, we're always improving. I think our website's pretty good, but, still trying to find some, copywriter. But yeah, here's what's important. So here's our event page. So this is actually our private event page. We also offer private events for companies if they want our software to be completely branded for them. And they let us know their positions, and we just literally spend, a couple of weeks just finding candidates, for this company specifically. So a lot of companies right now, they can't interview in person. So this is a great solution for them. But I guess the big lesson here is, it's, if you have an idea or you see an opening in a market, I think it's, always worth the risk to try and do your own thing. We have competition in our industry, so there's definitely other companies doing similar things as to what we're doing. But I would just, think about what you're interested in or what industry you're working in, and just, really try and think about, how can I innovate this industry? Kind of like, I can relate this to like back in the day, anytime you wanted to book a flight, you had to speak to your travel agent, and then, all the Orbits of the world came out, Expedia, Travelocity. So I'm always kind of thinking that way, like, what's the future going to look like, in 30 years? Like, there's going to be an idea developed in the next 2 years that's going to be huge in 10 years, and we just don't know what that is yet.
Yep.
So I think, I'm always kind of thinking with that mentality. Also, so these last 4 or 5 months, so I was living in New York. I actually, when this whole thing happened, I came out to California, rented my own house in Los Angeles. I got a lot of family here, and, really enjoying the weather. Every day I'm up super early because I'm used to the East Coast time. So I'll usually start working at like 7 a.m. At around lunchtime, I go on the same hike every single day religiously. Like I'm just learning if I'm like really taking care of myself and how I feel and having faith. And then you combine that with actual, execution and hard work. You can literally have whatever you set your mind to. And it's really crazy how that happens. So I kind of want to tie this into the whole, email affiliate marketing. So sorry if I'm all over the place, but
no, you're doing just fine.
Awesome. Yeah. So 3.5 years ago, I had a family friend who was probably making, upwards of $50,000 a month, with email marketing. And he kind of showed me the ropes of how it works. And there's a lot of different, nuances and tricks and stuff. There's also so many different types of email marketing. But basically he showed me ways to, build up your Twitter, or how to, find emails online. So he basically had access to a lot of emails. But I had to figure out a way to get them opted in, because I'm not just going to send them offers right away. So, I decided to just build my list organically. So I was, using Twitter. I was playing around with Google Ads, and I was just, every single day I was probably only getting like 20 or 30 new emails, but eventually that turned into like 100 new emails a day. Was able to turn my whole list into around 200,000 emails in like 90 days.
Wow.
Which is it's pretty impressive. So we were using, some of the popular ESPs, and we were just, some of the big affiliate networks out there like ClickBank. We were just sending them, they were opted in for, hearing about offers in the whole like productivity, genre. So they were interested in those types of products. So, there's websites like ClickBank and other big affiliate networks out there that have a whole catalog of offers that you can use. They have the links and the creatives that you put directly in your email, and, and then you could see how much money you're making on each email. So there was like a year stretch where we were doing really, really well, like, making good money every single day. But kind of overnight, that whole business changed. A lot of the ESPs, like the Constant Contacts of the world, they didn't want us, even though everyone was opted in and, we had low spam rates, they were trying to stay away from affiliate marketers at the time. So I was testing out all these new ESPs, and it just kind of got, too difficult. So put that on pause, which was a big punch in the gut, because it was bringing in a lot of money. And then, fast forward to now. So, these last 4 or 5 months, I just, I'm actually reading a book called Think and Grow Rich, which I would highly recommend. It's all about getting your mind right and just, showing you that you're the master of your own universe. So, I said to myself, I want to get back into the email marketing game. So I basically tested out some ESPs, did some more research, made my operations more legitimate. And, it's still not, it's probably only making a fraction of what I used to do, but, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. So Yeah, I mean, I got two good gigs going on right now. But the lesson I kind of wanted to, portray to, a lot of other people out there is, you can literally, have the exact life you want. Don't feel like you need to, answer to your parents or to your friends or anyone else. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. In the past I've dealt with, too much partying and not taking care of myself. And I really saw like how that affected my life. And when I started to fix my within, like everything on the outside just magically gets better. And it's just, I just keep on rolling with it. So I hope that I was able to inspire some people today to like, go and try your own thing. I mean, when I discuss the email marketing, it sounds all rosy and easy right away, but there's so many nuances and little things, but you'll catch on, you'll learn. You just gotta, the only way you test it is by doing it. So, happy to answer any questions that, my fellow podcast hosts have for me. And, yeah.
Well, that's pretty incredible. I'm really intrigued by, kind of the methodology that, when the Rona hit, you having to kind of reinvent your business. Cause one of my gigs is I'm a comic book illustrator, and I tour and do all these comic book conventions all over the country. So those have all completely dried up and gone away. And one of the things I've seen in my industry is people keep trying to come up with the idea of the online Comic Con, and they've all been colossal failures for the most part. Like the bread and butter of these shows is the vendors and the artists who basically end up paying for most of the bill for renting the hall and bringing in the guests and stuff. And then you have the crowds of people who come in for the celebrity autographs. And if they got any money left over, you hope that they spend it with you. The people who are getting shut out the most of these are people like myself as an artist, and then vendors who sell toys and bric-a-brac and stuff, because there's really there hasn't been a really good solution yet to create the online Comic-Con experience. And it's really encouraging, and just want to ask you a little bit about your methodology of like how you saw to adapt what you were doing, putting on these shows to a completely digital experience. So if you could elaborate a little bit on that, it'd be great.
Exactly. I mean, so first off, the biggest benefit in not having to do in-person events is not having to pay, for venues and catering and all that stuff. So obviously when this first happened, I thought it was going to pass in like a month or two, because the whole coronavirus thing. If you would have told me back in March that, you'd be in California in August and it would be literally no better than it was 4 months ago, I would have said like, no way.
Yeah.
But so I mean, when this first happened, like, I feel like the only other choice was to go virtual. But in my mind, I always love the in-person events because I feel like there's nothing like meeting someone face to face, and it's just easy to like capture a first impression. But I did some research. I figured out that there's probably a few other companies out there doing that like advertise virtual career fairs, but their software is like crazy expensive. And it has all these bells and whistles, but we really wanted something that was just like simple and efficient. Like our goal is just to connect, recruiters and hiring managers with candidates. So we don't need like this software that looks like you're actually like in a career fair walking around table to table. So we basically found a way to, we thought to ourselves, I say we, it's just, me and one other partner, but basically, we were able to use, kind of integrate our software with Zoom, because all we want is these, like I said, these people to connect with each other. Cool. We thought about just doing like, phone calls, but the video calls, you could actually see the person. So our interviews are 10 minutes long. Companies are able to add, so each event is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So, companies can add break times, every hour and then candidates will literally just select open slots with them. So the first event was, we only had 7 companies, but it actually worked really well. And we were actually like, one of our problems with the in-person events are, a lot of these top technologists, they're not going to in-person career fairs because they're either employed or they just, they think in their heads like career fairs are more for students and alumni. Mm-hmm. But with these online events, especially right now, a lot of people have been furloughed. Even if a senior candidate's working, why not just do a 10-minute interview with a company and see what's out there? So we're actually able to get better candidates. So yeah, like when this whole, coronavirus first happened, I thought my business was done. Myself at the time, I had a lot of finances I was trying to take care of. But I'm happy, we use this time wisely. And I think the number one reason why we were able to be successful is because I use this time to even buckle down even harder, like look within more, tailor my routine and, just basically have faith and be positive. And it's just crazy what happens when you just, do the work and you believe in what you want to happen.
Well, amen to that. I know, at least for myself, I think, Trico, you're kind of the same way. We weren't really thinking about becoming investors, or I would have never have thought that I'd be stacking silver coins like mad back in March, or anything like that, or even getting into the crypto space until this kind of hit, and it was like a big splash of water in the face. It's like, okay, nothing. We always kind of carry in our back of our minds that nothing's for sure. But then we kind of have this normalcy bias where we kind of think everything's just going to keep going the way it is. And when the apple cart gets upset, like you were saying, you thought, well, in a month or two, it'll be over with. And when that dynamic does not happen, it'll make or break you mentally. And kudos to you for being pre-prepared to, thinking on your feet and such. I know for myself, it's like I could see the writing on the wall that, none of these conventions are going to go through. And I got 2 more that I signed up for that promise, hey, if we get shut down by the state, you get your money back. I'm like, okay, well, I'll risk it on that. But it's still like, even if we get back to some sort of like normal where we can do live events again, it's not going to be normal. There's going to be, sanitation stations, and you're probably going to always have this 6-foot thing, and the mask thing is always going to be with us. So there's going to be so many drastic changes, and that creates an environment for growth that most people are afraid of because they don't see it as an environment of growth.
Exactly. I think this whole thing led to kind of like a paradigm shift. Like a lot of businesses are changing, but I think it's the future. And, our biggest, I think if you think too much about how much money you're going to make, you lose fact of trying to provide value for your actual customer.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're always trying to just help these companies hire candidates and find good candidates to come to these events. So once I actually did the work and really thought about these virtual events, I saw that we're able to get better candidates, and it's just been working really well. We're always focused on how can we help these companies and provide them value. And if that's what you focus on, your business is, only going to do well. If you would have, like I was saying before, in the beginning of this quarantine, I was living in New York. The business was good, but it was a little stagnant. And if you would have told me, 5 months later, you would have pivoted to virtual, you'd be living in California in your own place, you'd be, the healthiest you've ever been. And the money would be coming in, I would have said no way. But it just goes to show you that just because there's craziness going on in the world, doesn't mean that you need to go that way.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the people that I guess you'd call them gurus that I learned from on YouTube, a lot of them are saying there's a huge transfer of wealth coming, and the transfer of wealth isn't kind of like what we would think of. It's more like it's being created from this opportunity in this chaos. There's a lot of people are finally making something of themselves because they're taking advantage of the situation and being smart about it. And I kind of hope that we're doing this because, with this podcast, it's like TJ and I, we kind of became friends over buying stocks through Robinhood and talking about it because we don't have anybody in our circle to talk about this with, because everybody's kind of the same, blue collar. I have a job. That's kind of where it ends. And we're trying to not do that. And so we thought, well, why don't we turn these discussions into a podcast, and maybe we can help other people in our situation. So we've been fortunate enough to have a few guests, and we're glad to have you because it's a great inspiration for people to, hey, you know what, if you've got the willingness to do the work, to do the hustle, you can make something out of yourself in almost any environment, because this is probably the worst environment to try to make yourself into something, and it's working for lots of people, yourself included.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think a lot of time people think like they need money in the bank to go and start their own thing or do their own thing. But with the technology today, like I get my logo, my websites, like everything I need done on Upwork for very cheap. There's just so many tools you can use online today where it's really not that expensive to start a business. And obviously you need to make sure that the money's coming in. But, you could, if you really want it that bad, you'll be working nights, you'll be working weekends, and you'll do whatever it takes to, start your own thing. Going back to the whole stocks thing, I love the idea behind your podcast. I like how, you talk about like certain hustles and businesses, but at the same time, you're discussing stocks. And I think right now, a lot of people are working at home and they're hearing, all these people making money on Robinhood or the stock market keeps going up. I know myself, I have a few friends who, they probably only tell me about their winnings, but they definitely do okay. Whether it's, investing in Bitcoin or stocks or options. So I was kind of looking for a podcast where people like who are actually doing it or discussing like their picks and, what went right or what went wrong. So I definitely think that's, a smart idea by you guys and would definitely interest, a lot of my friends.
Well, don't tell them to buy Genius.
Yeah.
It's kind of been a running gag, but it's been a thorn in our side because that was our debut show. We were talking about how much money we'd lost in the Genius stock. And we kind of discovered along the same lines as some other people. We kind of all discovered this at the same time with the Robinhood platform. There's a trend when a stock comes up in the news, people see it, they get the FOMO, the fear of missing out, that drives the price up even more. And people who are buying it at that top price end up losing the money because the realities of the market and the realities of the company sink in afterwards. And it goes right back down and corrects itself.
Exactly.
You end up losing money like we did on Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys follow Bitcoin at all?
Yeah, I do. I've got. I don't have a full Bitcoin, but I got quite a bit of a percentage, and so it's been fun to watch and speculate it. I got in on it after the big crash when it went from 20 grand to what was it down to 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I got in on that on a nice dip, but I've been also looking at other cryptos and really trying to learn about that space because it's Internet 3.0. It's the future. This whole what do they call it? Decentralized. So everything you can think of, from finance to social media, there's a decentralized version of that that's backed up by technology on the blockchain. And so you have all these different cryptocurrencies, all these different tokens, and they represent the algorithm, the mathematical authentication of these technologies. So like Bitcoin, for example, is basically a store of wealth. It's digital gold. It doesn't really have a function outside of being itself. Whereas something like XRP, which I really hope goes to the moon someday, because I've got a lot of XRP. XRP allows, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
XRP is Ripple, right?
Yeah, that's Ripple.
Yeah, okay.
And they allow basically banks to talk to each other at instantaneous, like it's instantaneous liquidity from bank to bank, I think is their bread and butter.
I remember I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago, but when like Bitcoin was at 20,000, like I was following Ripple, Bitcoin, all these altcoins, and I was like so into it. And then, life happened. I had to focus on some other things, and a lot of the coins went down. So most people probably thought it was a fad, but the smart money still, went in low. And now I see Bitcoin. It's almost, I don't know. Last night I checked, it was almost at 12 grand. And then you see everything that's going on in the world right now, and how governments and countries literally, everyone always thought like, oh, everything's going to be okay, but now you're seeing like, anything could happen. So I don't even know if that's the right frame of thinking, but when I see that, I think like Bitcoin, I think with everything that's going on, that will help Bitcoin. And I, even though it's higher than it was a year ago, I still would consider getting in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, TJ, I don't think you've gotten into any crypto yet, have you?
I'm kind of backsliding into. I'm not even a boomer, but I'm kind of like sliding into my role as a grizzled old man. I got my my diabetic socks, and I got a jitterbug phone recently, and and
You kids and your bitcoins and
your electronic coins.
get off my digital lawn.
Yeah.
Oh, but you see, I look at it this, whether or not, and I've learned enough about the technology that I know decentralization is the future. All of this tech is, we're looking at, imagine, when you were really young, trying to explain to your grandma why she needed an email application on her computer, or why she needed a computer in the first place. If you're as old as TJ and I are, we can remember, 8-track and records. And it's like, I remember my father getting angry about, if he wants a computer, he can get a job and buy one himself. They're useless,
Yeah.
And my typing teacher saying that computers were a fad, and that's why we were learning on typewriters and not keyboards. And I think back to those experiences, and it's like, that's where we are with crypto right now. Is like, this is like the baby steps of what the future is on the internet, digital commerce, everything. It's like we're right at the precipice of a major leap forward. All it's going to take is adoption, and we're starting to see adoption take place. There was, I remember following some of the news stories where, for the longest time, J.P. Morgan was telling people, no, you don't need crypto in your portfolio assets, or it's not a good investment decision. Where on that, they were talking with Coinbase the whole time for a whole year prior, making some moves, looking to make their own digital token at some point. And I think Visa was doing the same thing. And it's like, you got to be an insider on this. You got to figure out a way to get the inside information, because otherwise you're going to miss the boat on it.
Totally. I saw yesterday that Goldman Sachs came out and they're like suddenly betting big on crypto and coins. And I think they were like coming up with their own. But when big players like that are getting involved, it kind of tells you all you need to know. Yeah.
Everybody's going to have their own. And I could definitely see, like, if we have the final dollar crash, a US dollar token that's hopefully backed by gold. At least that's my hope, not backed by Kinsey and debt. That would be a nice change of pace.
Or silver. We got a lot of silver.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going back to silver and gold as money, like it's in the Constitution. That's supposed to be the money supply. But the point I was trying to make is, like, everybody's going to have their own, and it's going to take other types of decentralized networks like XRP, like Chainlink, for all of these different coins to talk to each other, and that's where the real money's going to be.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I like Bitcoin, because obviously it's nice to pay attention to all the other ones, but I feel like in general, if the other ones, like the Ripples of the world, are doing well, I feel like Bitcoin's the like official like store of the value of the whole crypto industry. I may be wrong, but
no, I would agree with that. It's the equivalent of gold in the digital space.
Yep.
It's one of those, and then like some of the people that I listen to, like Mark Moss, for example, he pushes gold, silver, Bitcoin, but he also pushes, talks. He knows a great deal about stocks and investing, and basically his whole theme of wealth management is that you have some of your money in crypto, some of your money in gold, some of your money in stocks, some of your money in like cash and bonds, and then as you see the economy or inflationary rates rise and fall, you kind of shuffle your funds into the right ones, and you can keep making money in any market situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Just by kind of shuffling things around. So it's good to have a little bit of everything, regardless if you're an old codger like TJ here. You might want to put at least $500 in Bitcoin just for the hell of it, and set it and forget it, and it may keep you out of a bread line in the future.
Yeah, I don't trust any coins I can't put under my mattress.
See, that was the problem with the Weimar Republic, though, because we were seeing the same thing in pre 1930s Germany, the Weimar Republic, where after the stock market crash of 29, that all markets crashed because of that. It was typical around the whole world. Yeah. In the Weimar Republic, they decided to start just printing money and giving money away to get people to go out and spend it to get the economy going.
It sounds familiar.
people were so scared of another huge crash, they literally stuffed it under their mattresses instead of spending it. And then when the Republic finally fell, because their money was worth nothing. That's where that famous photo of a guy with a wheelbarrow going to buy bread. And it was just full of all of this worthless currency. You know, I mean, that's the exact situation that we're doing now. And it's like, are they going to keep, they want to keep inflating it into infinity, but how long can we keep doing that? I mean, Japan has been doing it for a long time. They have a debt-based economy, but Japan is tied to the US dollar. If the US dollar fails, everybody else's fiat currency that's been doing it successfully for a while, that's going to fail too. So.
Yep. And I literally think like, I want to get in Bitcoin, even if it's only $500, because if it does, go to the moon, like they say, or it does become the coin of the future, that 500 will turn into a crap load of money, and it's definitely worth a chance. It's like, it's like getting in at Amazon when it first started, but could be even better.
Oh, I know. I remember being back in college and like, oh, what is this Amazon thing? Oh, I can get a textbook cheap. That's great. And and my mental dichotomy had not changed to buying stocks. You could have got it for $19 a share back then.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I have a question for you guys. So, so like, just from my point of view, like, and my friends, like, I think the options appeals to. It's not really probably a smart way to invest, but it appeals to people because you can invest 200-300, and if you get lucky and it shoots up, you could obviously, there's a big upside. There's also huge risk. But in terms of, like, what would you say to people who don't have, I feel like the stock market, you kind of need a lot of money if you're going to invest in a stock. Otherwise, if you have like, in between $500 and $3,000 to play with, and you're investing in it, in terms of short-term gains, you're not really going to see anything. Maybe long-term you would. You kind of understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few different ways to play the market, and most people play the market that are really in the market all different ways. TJ is a big dividend investor, and there's even a strategy around dividends. I don't know if you've read that ebook yet that I bought for us, but of basically leveraging stocks that you're holding as dividends. Once you have 100 shares, then you can sell calls and puts using your 100 shares basically as collateral and make money on top of your dividend stocks. And keeping your stocks the same. I got to read it again to make sure I'm getting it, understanding correctly. But that's a strategy there. That's a safer option strategy than going in and just buying the calls or puts based on what the stock is doing. Because and for people who are lower end retail investors, if you buy a call or a put, you're on the hook for 100 shares minimum. For every call and put. So you may spend 30 cents on the call. But you've got that 30 cents a share, cost on top of now you're in for 100 shares back and forth. So if you can do it with stuff that you already own, I think that's a safer strategy to get into. And then you can get into the point where you can do the options and calls based on you can play options without having that stuff to back it up.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, and for me, it's like one of the reasons why I got into Webull, because I feel like Robinhood is a great place to get started. And for the most part, the stocks that I've purchased are things like mining stocks and then big chip stocks, like something like NVIDIA, for example. And it's a good place to just park some money and let it grow better interest rates than the bank. Because, I mean, if you look historically at the stock market, it's an 8% return per year if you average it out, something around that. My JP Morgan Chase bank account is 0.01% interest. I'm not putting any money in that ever again. I'll keep like $200 in there just in case we have an overdraft weekend because I don't juggle the right, money or whatever. But for the most part, it's like, I know that's not a place to put money for it to grow. Yeah. Whereas if I put that money in something like Apple, for example, any of the FANG stocks that make up the S&P 500, you're looking at an average of 20% on your money there. So it's just for me, retail investing is a good place to put my money for it to grow and then take it out. Like one of the big things I'm saving for is taking my wife to Japan for our 20th wedding anniversary. And I want to do that without taking anything from our monthly budget. So part of my monthly budget is funding my various accounts and letting those things grow faster than if I was to just put money in a savings account Because I know myself, if it was just easy to get out of a savings account, I'd probably go spend it somewhere. Oh, I can pay it back later, you know.
Exactly.
And those are a lot of the mindsets that it's really difficult to break when you're coming out of that kind of blue collar lifestyle where you're not even thinking about investments or your future or retirement or any of those things. I mean, I don't think, you know, I've never thought about retirement, and I think it's I think, you know, the idea of getting a job and saving using like the 401k from that job to save for retirement, that's outdated. You know, there's no way at 42 I'd be able to do something like that and have a retirement. So I have to invest in myself, and I've got to, you know, take it upon myself to get an education and what money is, what the difference between money and currency, what assets are, how to invest in them, how to grow. And that's the only way I'm going to be able to have a retirement.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy I'm here because the money I do have, you know, and I feel like there's probably a lot of people who are listening are the same. You know, I do keep it in a savings or checkings, not because I'm risk averse, but maybe it is because I'm risk averse. But yeah, I mean, like for me, I see the stocks now and I think like, wow, everything's like pretty high. And you look at the economy and what's going on, and you're like, you know, I don't want to. I feel like I'm buying it like to the up peak, even though you know, I guess blue chip stocks are like a safe bet. But I want to find, you know, I want to find somewhere to like put my money in and let it grow. And I just like don't even know where to start.
Yeah, well, you definitely, they always say to diversify, and I think diversifying between 4 types of different assets, you know, have some money in cash. You know, cash is a good place, you know, to put some of your money, but don't put all your money in cash.
Yeah.
And if you have all your money in the bank account, you basically all your money's in cash. So if you park a little bit of it in, you know, cryptocurrency, you park a little bit of it in stocks, you can do like my portfolio, like I said, is mining stocks and then larger blue chip companies. And I have a thing for EV. So I've got Nikola. I don't have any Tesla, but I got Nikola. I got this little ag stock where they make drones for monitoring fields and stuff. And supposedly they're going to have an Amazon gig making drones for them. So I bought heavy into those. Looking at, again, trying to be future thinking, because no matter what happens, if there's a crash, EV is still the future. I mean, that's the way all commerce and governments are pushing their technologies, is to more battery EV technology, fuel cell for Nikola, alternative energies. I mean, that's still going to be, that is going to be the future, no matter if you like it or not. So investing in companies that are going to be like the next Amazon, for example, in 10 years or 5 years when EV is the norm, that's what I'm looking at now in one aspect of my portfolio.
Yeah.
The other, with the mining stocks, buying physical gold and silver is great, and I love it. But buying the mining stocks, the trick with mining stocks is once they have a verified find, you can triple your investment, because the value of that mining company is not just what they're pulling out of the ground, but what's still under the ground that they verified. So, you know, I'll buy Great Panther Mining at 80 cents a share all day long, because some of the DD that I've been doing on them, they have some verified, you know, cobalt mines and silver mines that they haven't got anything out of the ground yet, and they haven't really gone full public with some of their finds, and they've had past success. So I think that's a bet worth making. So I'll put, you know, $200 or $300 into an 80-cent stock, and you know, that's just one example, because there's lots of different mining stocks. So that's kind of my strategy. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Neither is Trico. I'm working on getting a financial advisor for an upcoming episode, so that'll be interesting. But you know, I guess the onus is, do what we've been doing, what we've been talking to you about, what our guest has been talking to you about. Get your mind in a good headspace. Have a mindset to growth, and just start getting an education yourself. Nobody's going to teach you how to do this. We didn't learn this stuff in high school for a reason, because they don't want a whole bunch of millionaire entrepreneurs running around the country, you know?
Yeah.
So get the education yourself, and, you know, take experiences like what Jesse's shared with us here to bet on yourself. I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, totally. I definitely enjoyed this episode. You know, for me, I'm learning that I just need to, you know, just plant seeds of positivity and growth into my like subconscious, and just keep rolling with that, keep learning. And most importantly, like they say, knowledge is power, but I don't believe that. I think like knowledge with applied action is power. So it's all about actually executing.
Yeah, you can know everything and do nothing, and it's not going to help you one bit.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, no, I mean, some of the, people who have went to the best schools, I know they're not necessarily, street smart, like they may be smart in one subject, but what are they doing with that? So,
Yeah.
It's never too late to learn.
Yeah. Jesse, if people want to follow you online, where can they find you?
Perfect. So you could find me at my, let me just pull up. I actually started like a new Twitter that I'm going to be posting all this positive mind stuff to. It is Soul Faith 72, SOUL Faith 72.
All right, great. Make sure and give him a follow on Twitter there, SoulFaith72. And if you're listening to this podcast and you need to do some hiring, check out Hired Virtual here. We guys still have the website up on the
we're putting up some new cities tomorrow also.
Nice.
So appreciate the mention.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great service. And you got my mind turning, because there's got to be a way to solve the problem of online Comic-Cons.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Think about something that you do. Like, for example, you're into that stuff. So there's definitely something there.
Yeah, absolutely. Trico, you have anything else before we close out?
No, that's pretty much it. Part of me, today was a good day on the market. A lot of the stuff was in the green. A lot of the stuff was up. Part of me kind of hopes it dips a little bit so I can buy something on the cheap. But in the meantime, I don't mind my portfolio looking pretty good.
Hey, I hear that. All right, Jesse. Well, keep in touch on Twitter, and look for some more exciting things and some inspirational tweets from you. That'd be great. I'll definitely reshare those through the Broke Money on Twitter, Broke Money Hustle on Instagram. Of course, we're live right now on YouTube. We want to thank all of our partners in the internet radio space, IndieVolt, which broadcasts us on Thursdays to thousands of you wonderful people out there in various countries across the globe. We thank you for listening and checking in with us. And please, as always, you can send questions to us through our various social media DMs, through Twitter at Broke Money or Instagram Broke Money Hustle. And we try to tweet out and do IG posts for defining terms and other things like that, and try to share posts with economic news. So and we try to make it accessible for everybody. So you don't need to go to college to learn to do this stuff. You just got to be willing to learn. And we will see you on the next episode of Broke Money Hustle.
This is Broke Money Hustle. And now here's Broke Money